Another thing I was fascinated with this particular piece was the shadows.
I was also thinking, since you were a founding member of the company and have danced here on the stage in the past, if there's a difference for you in dances that you love doing and dances that you love looking at, and if that has had some kind of shift for you.
You know, one of the things that I really find surprising is how many of the things that I absolutely loved dancing are not that really interesting from the front. So I'm very aware of that, you know, and now my job is to have the perspective of the audience looking at what's going on the stage.
One of the things I was thinking for you two is that most of these dances are made from before you were born. And I'm wondering if for you as dancers coming into dancing works, I don't know, made in 1895 or 1957, if you feel like it's not really your world and you really have to shift perspective to get into the sensibility of them.
I really enjoy dancing the works that have been, you know, choreographed prior to, you know, my being born. I think it's important to have that part of you, you know, the history and the legacy that those works bring to dancing now, and I think it's really important to be able to dance those works now and also be able to do newer, more contemporary and neoclassical works as well.
But Ashley, one of the things I was thinking, you dance over the course of the week some very different moods as a dancer. That you dance in Agon, and then you have to be the Black Swan, and then you're in, you know, kind of a more groovin' scene there. What's it like for you as a dancer to have to sort of change personalities? I mean, the dancing is sort of the same or grounded in ballet technique, but the dancing is, and the personality feels so different.
I personally love it. I get to be bipolar in a sense because I get to be all these different characters in one night. And it's just, you know, taking yourself and digging deeper into your soul and finding, you know, a way to portray all these different characters is just amazing.
Could you say something about Agon? I mean, really hard dance to dance, really hard music to hear. Could you talk about what it's like to first start investigating that as dancers and getting into Mr. Balanchine's world?
It was a really challenging experience at first. I have never performed the work, and before learning it, I had actually never seen it live on stage. So I'd only seen videos of DTH doing it as well. So it was really fun to get to you know, to learn the ballet from you know, the person who was teaching it to us, and then to be able to explore it in how in my interpretation of the movement, I guess. You know, because when everyone gets to get on stage, you all get to experience it differently. So I think, you know, it was really fun to, you know, to get to experience it, you know, through my own body.
So are you humming Stravinsky now? I mean, how are you?
All the time.
You know, Agon has been part of the DTH rep for a very long time. It was one of the first works that Mr. Balanchine gave us. And so I got to dance Agon a lot, though I have to say that the first time that Arthur Mitchell said that I was on, I had a total fit and said I couldn't possibly do it and stormed out of the studio. Can you imagine? Because it is very complicated musically, it's very complicated physically. But once you get over the fear factor, it's so much fun.
So what do you think is part of it that it has this reputation of being so difficult, so getting in it? Because I mean, I've been really noticing over the course of the week how I can feel people sort of finding a groove with the stage and the space in our house, and that can see some of the coming alive within these parts, and really showing us, even in abstraction, how much personality there is in this dance.
You know, the counts are so complicated that getting the whole group to fit together and be on the music, the dancer counts are not the music counts. So that you've got this little mysterious cloud that you've got to bring together, and getting that magic of trusting the rhythm of the music and understanding what your spacing is and what your relationship is to the person across from you, and how it all fits together musically, choreographically, personally. It's like a wonderland when you start slipping into it. But it takes time to actually get into that moment.
So could you talk a little bit about the decision? This is the first time we're seeing a ballet company do the great work by Alvin Ailey, the Lark Ascending. So on point for the first time, a very different kind of body sensibility, a sense of being grounded, and much more about moving through space than shapes. What was your I don't know, brainstorm that made that happen?
Two things. We were applying for an American Masterpieces grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. And we were looking, it was my first year, it was my first month of being artistic director, and we needed to get this grant in. And we were looking at works that we thought really fit that title, an American Masterpiece. And I remembered Lark Ascending as a really wonderful work, a very beautiful solo. I hadn't remembered how the whole work fit together. So I went to the library and I looked at it, and you know what? It's a classical work. So it fits so perfectly into, as a classical company, it's of course it's a modern dance. Ailey choreographed it for his company, barefoot, but the symmetry and the use of line and the way that the rhythms fit together with the music, with the dancing. It's really a classical work, and I thought, oh my goodness, it's just exactly what Dance Theatre of Harlem does. It brings forward what is most classic in the world.
Could you talk a little bit about working with Elizabeth Rojas, who danced the part of the Lark in the 90s, and for her to sort of say, was it up to her to figure out how to be on point, a negotiation with you and the dancers of where exactly, was she so used to having the sensibility of her feet on the floor?
The movement in Lark Ascending is downward directed. It is about being connected to the earth. There's so many ideas in the movement about a downward resting movement. And yet the piece is about flight. So it really belongs on point in a certain sense. But there are technical aspects of how you get up on those shoes that some of the steps work and some of them don't work on point.
Right.
So it was a negotiation. And when Liz was working with the dancers, it was, okay, can we really get that there? And it wasn't something that was decided ahead of time. It was actually decided moment by moment.
You got to do some of that research in the studio with the
studio,
dancer, yes.
yeah.
So, Doane, talk about what it's like to get to groove to James Brown in the middle of your ballet company.
It's really fun, amidst all of the other works that we get to do, in order to, the ability to just get to able to get on stage and just have fun. It's really therapeutic. At the end of a long day, to just be able to get out here and have fun and and dance a little bit and party. It's amazing.
Have that little Soul Train moment. It's a fabulous thing to see in this. Let me open it up for a couple of your questions or comments. Yes, back there. What kind of advice can you give to both a young dancer and a young choreographer?
I would say for a young dancer to work as hard as you can and really push yourself to do much more than you think you can physically, to break through as many boundaries as are in front of you, just physically, emotionally, spiritually, to keep building the strength of yourself as an artist in every aspect. You have to experiment with the form as much as you can. And I would say not to go necessarily to find the biggest, best thing, but to have 5 or 6 people that you work with regularly where you can take an idea and you can explore a theme and you can show informally to people around and get feedback. Really, these people know the more you work, the more you can work. The more you work, you learn about what it is that you have to offer as an artist. You can have a very big dream to do something, ta-da, but it's the incremental, daily, weekly, monthly, building those skills that you need to do. So as much work as you can give to yourself, or as many people that you can attract to your work, the better.
Do you want to add to that? You're closer in age than we are to remembering that sort of moment of like, I want to do this. What were some things that you told yourself to do?
I would just say do your best to stay motivated. The more you can motivate yourself or surround yourself with people who are motivating, the better. Because I have great people to work with every day, like Doane, who, when you're feeling a little down one day, he's like, come on, girl, let's get it, get it together. And we do the same for each other. And, especially with such a small company of 18 dancers, we do it for each other every single day. And then also, when you get to the point where you're so stressed out that you think you can't do it anymore, just do it one more time. Because that'll be the time that you find, that light bulb will turn on, and you'll be like, oh, I get it now. And you could have stopped, but you didn't, and you'll be so grateful for it.
This is a question to ask you to elaborate on Agon, where you mentioned that how the dancers are counting and how the musicians might be counting are different, and that you're aware of both of those things, and how could they possibly be different things?
Well, in music, music is written in measures, and Agon is a very, because it's it's not really a contemporary piece anymore at 57, but
We'll call it contemporary.
it's an abstract work. It's not, the measures aren't even. There are 15 counts and there are 16 counts for the orchestra. And the dancers have counts that go, there's 3, there's a 20. The beginning of the women's section, it starts with 2 sets of 20, so you have to keep that going. The counts for the dancers are the phrases of the movement. The counts for the musicians are, I'm sure, a different kind of phrasing for the musicians, with the conductor making sense of how that music flows together. And what George Balanchine did so magnificently was nestle dance phrases into music phrases that don't match, but so that they feel like they're riding together. It's part of what makes the tension of Agon, that the music is saying one thing and the dance is saying something else, but it all fits together.